There we go. All right, so in our last exciting episode, we talked about polynomials and adding and subtracting them. This one we're going to talk about multiplying them. And this is pretty easy stuff too, because the last one was just combining like terms, as they call it. And this one is just basically like FOIL method, uh, distributive property, that kind of thing. So it's pretty easy stuff. So pretty much what you do is you multiply whatever numbers you have together, and then whatever variables you have, you take the exponents and add the exponents. That's pretty much it. But we'll run through some examples, make sure everybody's good with it. All right. Okay, so classic example here. Again, what we're going to do is we're going to take the 6x, we're going to multiply by each of the guys in the parentheses to come up with our new answer here. So let's find a pen here. All right, so since there's no number in front of the x squared, that's automatically 1. So this is going to be 6 times 1, so that's 6. And we have x to the first. Remember, if there's no power there, that means it's to the first power. So x to the first and x to the second, add the exponents. So it would give us x to the third. Okay. And we do the same thing with the 6x and the minus 4x. So we got 6 minus 4, that's going to be minus 24. X to the first and x to the first is x to the second. Okay, and then finally the 6x times the negative 3. So 6 times negative 3, that's going to be 18 negative. And then just bring the x along for the ride. That's it. Easy peasy. Okay. So hopefully you're familiar with this stuff already. You've probably done this in the past and hopefully remember it, but it's pretty easy stuff. All right, let's go and check out another one. Okay, so one of the biggest things is you got to watch your signs here. So this time we got minus y, that's really minus 1y. So minus 1 times minus 3 is going to give you plus 3. And then we have y to the first, y to the second, that's going to be y to the third. Okay. Then we do minus y times 2y, so negative 1 times positive 2, that's going to give you negative 2. Y to the first and y to the first is y to the second. Okay. And then finally we do minus y times minus 7. 2 minuses always give you a plus. An even number of minuses always gives you a plus. So a minus and a minus, that's going to be plus 7, and we bring the y along for the ride. That's it. Easy peasy. Okay. Go ahead and check out another one here. All right, so same deal. Start here, so we've got 3 times negative 1, so it's going to be negative 3. So we got x to the second, so it'll be x to the fourth. Just add the exponents. And we do move on. So this is going to be 3 times 2, that's going to be plus 6. And we have x to the first and x to the second, so that'll be x to the third. And then one more time. Multiply here, so we got the 3 times the negative 4, that's negative 12. And then we just have the x squared to bring along. So about the only thing that you can mess up on these is the signs. And it's still pretty easy to do, so you just have to, excuse me, take your time, be careful with them. Okay. Questions so far? Yeah, pretty easy stuff, right? All right, let's check out a few more. Okay. So same deal. So we have minus 5 times 2, that's minus 10. X to the third and x to the third is going to be x to the sixth. We have minus 5 and minus 4, so that's going to be a plus 20. X to the third and x to the second gives you x to the fifth. And then finally, we have minus 5 times 2, so that's going to be minus 10. and just bring the x to the third along. Easy and peasy. All right, give me a second to write that down if you like. I'm going to grab a drink here. All right. So we're moving along here pretty good, so it might actually be a short class. We'll see. Okay, so this is basically the FOIL method. And FOIL just helps you make sure that you get all the terms. So here's the thing about these. We have two terms in the first parenthesis, right? And we're going to multiply that by two terms in the second parenthesis. So when we're done multiplying, we should get four terms. Okay. And then what you usually get is you'll get one x squared, you'll get one number, and then you'll get two x terms that we can combine. So your answer usually has three terms in it after you combine terms. That's pretty standard. Okay, but we'll see that as we move along here. All right. Okay, so again, FOIL so the F stands for first terms. So you take the first term in each parenthesis, multiply them together. So we've got 1x times 3x. So 1 times 3 is 3. X to the first and x to the first is x to the second. Okay. So then O stands for outside. Okay, so outside means the very first guy and the very last guy. So we've got an x and a plus 4, so that's going to be plus 4x. Okay. Then I stands for inside. So that's the two guys in the middle, the inside guys. All right. So we've got minus 6 times 3, that's going to be minus 18. Bring the x along for the ride. And then L stands for last terms. So that's the last one in each parenthesis. So we have minus 6 and minus 4. That'll give us minus 24. So we said we'd have four terms. So we do. Okay. We have an x squared. We have a number. And then we have the two guys in the middle that are both x's that we can combine. So final answer here, you just bring the 3x squared along. Put these two guys together, so I have minus 18 plus 4, that's going to be minus 14x, and then just bring the minus 24 along. That's it. Okay. So this is the FOIL method. I was working over in Tampa. The guys over there used to like to call it the rainbow method because they made little rainbows here. I think it's because I color coded it too. So then same thing. So we got 4 times 2, that's going to be 8. X to the first is x to the second. And we do 2x times 1, so that's just plus 2x. And we do 1 times 4x, so that's plus 4x. And then finally we do 1 times 1, that's still 1. Put these two guys together, bring the other two down. So we got 8x squared. 2 and 4 is 6. X, and then plus 1. Done. Questions? So hopefully you guys are pretty familiar with this. Okay. Kind of important though. I mean, this stuff keeps coming up. I mean, when you get into geometry, you still have to do algebra stuff like this. And obviously algebra 2, you do stuff like this. And the thing about algebra 2, honestly, if you can do algebra 1, algebra 2 is not a big stretch. I mean, it's pretty much just algebra 1 with a few bells and whistles. Like a couple new things come along. But for the most part, you're doing this same stuff right here. And that's the important part about the algebra stuff is once you learn the basic moves, like we're doing here, you will use this for the rest of the time that you take math classes. So if you get it down now, the rest of high school math, not so bad. You don't get this stuff down now, the rest of high school math, it kind of sucks, you know? So now's the time to get this stuff together. Yeah. I mean, there's only so many moves, and like you said, there's like this stuff where you multiply these guys together, and then there's the stuff where you're solving equations, and as you've seen, all that is undoing whatever they did. You know, they multiply something by 3, we divide it by 3. They add 4, we subtract 4. Just do the opposite of what they do. That's it. So once you get that stuff down, like I said, the rest of math class, not really that bad. But everyone wants to think it's bad. You know, oh, math, it's hard. It's like, people keep selling you that bill of goods, and it's not necessarily true. All right, let's check out some more. You good, Chloe? Okay, I see you're done. All right, so here again, they say use distributive property. I mean, that's pretty much what FOIL is. It's like mega distributive property. It's just saying, like, if this guy wasn't here, right, then it would be like the original problems we were doing. You take x times this and x times that, right? And it's just the same thing. And then if you didn't have the x there, so if he wasn't here, then you do minus 6 times that and minus 3 times that. So it's just like I say, mega distributive property. Okay, let's go ahead and walk through these real quick. So we've got x times x, that's x squared. And we got x times 3, so that's plus 3x. Then we do these guys. So now we work with the negative 6. So minus 6 times x, that's minus 6x. And minus 6 times 3, that's minus 18. Standard procedure. We got 4 terms. 2 of them are x's that we can put together. It's these cats right here. So we have 3 minus 6. That's going to be minus 3x. Just bring the other 2 guys down. And we are good to go. All right. Same thing over here. 3x and 2x. 3 times 2 is 6. X times x is x squared. 3x times 5 is going to be 15. Bring the x along for the ride. And then minus 4 times 2, that's going to be minus 8x. And then finally we have minus 4 times 5, that's going to be minus 20. So same deal. We've got an x squared term to bring down. We've got a number term to bring down. And then we've got the 2 guys in the middle that we can put together. So we got 15 minus 8, that's going to be plus 7x. There's your boy. Okay. Cake, piece thereof. Right. So one more on this page. X and 2x. So that's 2x squared. And we've got x times 3, that's plus 3x. Probably going to run out of space here, but that's okay. And then we've got minus 8 times 2, that's minus 16x. And then finally minus 8 and 3, that's minus 24. Okay, so same deal, put these guys together. All right. So I got 3 minus 16, so that's going to be minus 13x. And then just bring the other 2 guys down. So 2x squared and minus 24. That's a 4, hang on. Getting sloppy here. 13x minus 24. Bada bing, bada boom. Done. Questions? Yeah, just a simple procedure. That's all it is. Okay. All right, so a little fancier here. A little bit, not that bad. Okay, so again, you can do mega distributive property on this guy too. Now, notice on this one, we have, in the first parentheses, we got 2 terms. And in the second set of parentheses, we've got 3 terms. So it means when we're done multiplying, we should have 6 terms. Okay, and that's a good check to make sure that you've got everybody covered. Okay. Once that happens, then there's probably going to be some terms in the middle that we could probably put together. So it'd probably be like a set of 2 terms that we could put together, another set of 2 terms we could put together. So your final answer will typically have 4 terms. So after you combine like terms, you'll go from 6 terms to 4 terms. And that's the thing, if you recognize the patterns in math, it makes it so much easier. Because you just get used to patterns. You don't have to like memorize anything or worry about procedures and stuff like that. You just see the patterns. You just see what happens. This was something I did, excuse me, when I was around your guys' age. I'd sit in math class, and they used to drive the teachers nuts because I wouldn't write a lot of stuff down, but I'd sit there and I'd listen and I'd watch what they were doing. And I'm like, well, it's just this, right? But they never came out and said, it's just this. So I tried to do that for you guys. Say, look, it's just this. That's it. But I don't know. It seems like math teachers want to make themselves feel important. Like, ooh, I know this fancy stuff, and, I'm so smart and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, okay. So I'm not one of those guys. It's like, look, this isn't that bad. And the biggest problem with a lot of people as far as having trouble with math is they're scared of it. There's nothing to be scared of. That's the point. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and look at this guy. So again, just make a distributive property. We'll start with the y, and we'll multiply him by each of these 3 guys, right? So we'll start with that one. So we got y and 2y squared. So that's 1 times 2 is 2. Y to the first, y to the second is y to the third. Okay. Then we do the same thing here. We go y times minus 3y. So 1 times minus 3, that's going to be minus 3. And then we go y to the first, y to the first is y to the second. Okay. Then we do y times 4. So that's just 4y. Okay. Then we move to the 3. Excuse me. So we do 3 times 2y squared. 3 times 2 is 6. And then just bring the y squared along for the ride. Then we do 3 times minus 3, that's minus 9. Bring the y along for the ride. And then finally we have 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, so you're going to see a pattern here as well. You're going to see, in this case, you're going to have a y to the third term. Just one of those guys, so we bring him down. And then just your regular number. Just bring him down. Okay. Then we have, look for our y squared, which is going to be 2 of those guys. So here's minus 3y squared and plus 6y squared. So 6 minus 3 is 3. So that's going to be that guy. So this will be plus 3y squared. Okay, then we move on to our y terms. There's 4y and minus 9y, right? So 4 minus 9, that's going to be negative 5y. And that's it. So as predicted up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms, right? And then after we combine like terms, 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So this pattern shows up all the time. Now there will be occasions, not that often, but every now and then, where maybe one of the terms cancels out. Like you'll have like a minus 3y squared and a plus 3y squared, and they'll drop out. So you might have less than 4 terms, but typically you're going to have 4 terms. Okay. So like I said, not really difficult, just a lot of number crunching. Okay. We good? Can we move on? Just don't want to take it down if somebody happens to be writing. Chloe. All right, so second verse, same as the first. Start with the 2 x's. All right. So we do the 2x. So 2 times 3 is going to be 6. X to the first, x to the second is x to the third. And we do 2x times 4x, so we get 2 times negative 4, negative 8. X to the first, then x to the first, x to the second. One more time. 2x times 1 is just 2x. That was easy. Okay, some people like this method here. I mean, it's just a little bit different way of writing it, but it's not a big deal because it makes it easier for them to combine terms. So if we do minus 7 times 3, that's going to be minus 21, and then x squared. And we move on. Minus 7 times minus 4 is going to be plus 28. Bring the x along for the ride. Okay. And then minus 7 times 1 is minus 7. So notice how I offset that 1 like that. And then notice that my terms line up. So when you're ready to combine stuff, you just say, okay, I'm just going to bring this guy straight down, right? So on the Price is Right, come on down. Okay, then we just add these guys. So negative 21, negative 8 more, that's minus 29, x squared. And then we have 2 and 28, so it's going to be 30, x, and then minus 7. So there's our guy. So if you don't like trying to, pick them together like that, if you offset it like this, then you can just line them up and everybody's in line. Okay? So if you like that version, have at it. But again, I'm not the guy that's going to sit here and tell you have to do it this specific way. You do whatever works for you. All right? Okay. So for my more artistic people, they like this one. And again, like I said, if you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. So my more artsy people will say, okay, I'm going to do 2x, 2, and then here I'm going to write minus 3x. Then up here, I'm going to write minus 3x squared, and then plus 4x and minus 2. Okay. And again, this is like for the people who like to draw. It's all good. I'm not much of a drawer myself, so it doesn't work real well for me, but I want you guys to see this. And again, whatever works for you is fine. As you can see, I'm a fabulous drawer. Okay, so then we just fill in the boxes. So we're going to do 2x squared and then minus 3x, that's going to be minus 6. And then we've got x to the second is x to the fourth. Okay, now we move on. So then we do 2x squared times this guy. So we got 2 times 4, that's going to be 8. X to the second, x to the first is x to the third. And then one more time, we say 2x squared times the negative 2, that's going to be minus 4x squared. Okay, then we move to the bottom row. So then we go minus 3x and minus 3x squared, so it's minus 3 and minus 3, that's going to be positive 9. And then x to the first, x to the second is x to the third. Then we do the minus 3 times the 4, that's going to be minus 12. X to the first and x to the first is x squared. And one more time, minus 3x and then minus 4x squared. No, not minus 4x squared, my bad. Minus 3x and minus 2, that's going to be plus 6x. Okay, so again, for my artistic people, they like this because then we've got our 6x to the fourth, and we got our last term here, which is just 6x. So those guys are on their own. All right, so we're just going to write those down. So I've got 6x to the fourth, and all the way at the end here, we're going to have plus 6x. And then what you'll notice is the diagonals are the same kind of terms. Like these two guys are the same kind of terms. So you put them together. Okay? So we put those together, that's going to be plus 17 x to the third. And then same thing with the other ones. We've got another set of diagonals here. These guys. Okay, so then you just put those together. So I got minus 12 and minus 4 is going to be minus 16 x squared. Bada bing, bada boom. We're done. Okay. So really, I mean, it's all the same thing. It's just whatever you're more comfortable with. You know, you can use this box, you can offset them a little bit, or you can just write them out and find the terms you need to put together. The ball is in your court. It's really up to you. Or you can mix them up if you like variety. Questions? The last one's confusing to you? Then don't use it. I just present because it does click with some people. It doesn't click with you, that's fine. You know, do one of the other ones. If you like the first guy, great. If you just like this and just find your terms and put them together, that's great. If you want to write them like this where the terms line up, that's great too. Okay, so whatever works for you, it's good by me. All right, so let's do one more. And by the way, if you haven't turned in your exam, what are you waiting on? I got to put my grades in. You know, I gave you guys a whole week last week to do this thing, and there's still people that haven't turned it in. It's like, it's a multiple choice test. It's not that hard. I don't ask that much out of you guys. It's not like I give you a freaking assignment every day or something. Okay? So just saying, just still get it in. I can still put it in. I still got time, but I don't get extensions. Okay? My stuff has to be done when my stuff has to be done. So just a word to the wise. Okay, so let's do one more. Yeah, you're good. Like I said, I'm not speaking to everybody here. I'm just making a general statement. All right. So do we have a preference? Do we like door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3? I don't think we like door number 3. At least Chloe doesn't. So what do we like? This one or this one? Second one here? So this guy? Okay. All right. So go ahead and do this. So I got minus 2 and 2. That's going to be minus 4. We got x to the second and x to the second. That's x to the fourth. Right? Look a little more like a 4. There we go. And this guy. Still very bad, but there we have it. All right. Then we go ahead and do this one. So minus 2 and minus 3 is going to be plus 6. We got x to the second and x to the first. So that'll be x to the third. And then finally we've got minus 2 and minus 7. That's going to be plus 14. And then we just bring the x squared along. Okay. So move on to the second one here. So think of it this way. I moved over 1 to here, so I'll move over 1 in my answer. So I got 2. Well, this is all just going to be rewritten, right? Because it's just all times 1. So this will be 2. Oh, no. That doesn't work for this one, does it? Because this is not an x. This is just a 1. So the offset isn't really good for this one, but we can still use it. We just have to line everybody up. So we got 1 times 2. That's going to be 2x. Hold on. Get this thing to right. So 2x squared, right? Then minus 3x and minus 7. So this one threw us off a little bit. So there's really only one thing to combine. Everybody else just comes down. This is another good reason to have different ways to do this. So here's 14 plus 2. That's 16 x squared. Because sometimes you'll run into a little curveball like that. And it's like, well, maybe I should use one of my other methods. I mean, this still worked. We just had to jump over 2 places because we didn't have an x in that one. If that would have been an x, then we'd have moved it over 1. So, but then, like I said, since we're multiplying by 1, I just basically recopied the second part of the problem. Okay, so it was an interesting little curveball. We okay with that one? All right. Okay, so this one will work a little better because notice we have an x squared and then an x. So same thing. We'll go. So we get 3, and then x to the second, x to the 7 is x to the 4th. And then I've got minus 2, x to the 3rd, and then I've got plus 4 x squared. Now this one I can move over just 1. So I do that. So 3 times 3 is going to be plus 9 x to the 3rd. This is going to be minus 6x squared. And then finally it's going to be plus 12x. Add them up. So 3x to the 4th. And I have 9 minus 2, so that's going to be plus 7x to the 3rd. And we have 4 minus 6, that'll be minus 2x squared, and then just bring the 12x down. And we're good to go. All right. All right, we'll walk through a couple more and we'll call it. So this says find the area of the shaded region. All right, it's a little more complicated, right? All right, so the way we do this is if we multiply these two guys together, this will give us the area of the whole thing. Okay, so we'll do that first. That will give us the area of the whole thing. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've got 4x minus 2, and then x squared minus 3. All right, so we'll FOIL this guy out. So that's going to be 4x to the 3rd. And I'm going to do this guy. And he's going to be 4 times 3, that's negative 3. So it's a negative 12. And then x. And then we do this guy. So we've got minus 2x squared. And then we have minus and minus is a plus. That's plus 6. All right, so this one you can't actually combine any terms, so that's it. We'll go ahead and write that one down here in a minute. So then what you need to do is you need to subtract off the two guys in the middle here, because we want to subtract off the guys that give us this one here, right? So we got this guy and this guy. Okay, so we'll do a quick multiplication on that one. So say we've got x, and then times x plus 2, right? So it gives me x squared, and this gives me 2x. So we're going to have to subtract that one off. All right, so let's put it all together. So this is going to be 4x to the 3rd. Normally they write it in standard form, so that means the x squared is going to come next. So 2x squared, then minus 12x, and then plus 6. All right, so we're going to subtract this guy off, so that means we have to change the signs. Okay, so instead of x squared, he's going to be minus x squared, and instead of positive 2x, he's going to be negative 2x. And then we just put everybody together. 4x to the 3rd, we have minus 1 and minus 2, that's minus 3, x squared. Then we have minus 12 and minus 2, that's minus 14, x, and then bring the plus 6 down. And that's your answer. Okay, so really all it was doing two multiplication problems and then subtracting them from each other. And that's it. Okay. All right. I actually think that's probably a pretty good place to stop for today. Okay. So I've already got attendance since there's only 3 of you here. And as you know, we don't have class tomorrow, so that's it for this week. So if you have any questions, let me know. If not, I got attendance. You're free to go. I will shut down the recording, and we'll see you all next week.